on Kirk Cousins. The Vikings quarterback was guaranteed $84 million this offseason for exactly this type of game. Here is Cousins on what's on the line Sunday.
Well, it's not complicated. I want to win. We want to win. We understand what's at stake. There's no magic formula. There's no button you can push or hours you can put in to suddenly snap your fingers and guarantee a win. So you do all you can, give everything you have. There have been plenty of games this year where I've given everything I have and we don't come out on top and I don't have a great game. But there have also been plenty of games where I do that exact same process and it's more than good enough and I played at a very high level and we played at a very high level. So, you just have to, be the best team that night.
All right, CC, let's break down this game plan just a little bit. What do Kirk Cousins and the offense need to do if they are going to pick apart this Bears defense?
Well, it seems like every time you talk about the Vikings, all they talk about is Kirk Cousins. And you mentioned it in the lead-in, $84 million. Ever since then, that's all people are talking about. This is not a Vikings team that was dependent upon their quarterback. This organization, they've done well in the draft. Their limited participation in free agency. They have developed a lot of good players on the team. We never mentioned the defense. Mike Zimmer, he's a head coach. He cut his teeth in this league by defensive coordinating. That defense has not been consistent. Started off the season very, very bad. The offensive line, which is the worst unit on the team, hadn't been supported by a consistent running game. We should have more conversations about the Vikings defense. Are they leading this team? Because that's where all their money is. All right, you talk about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is one of the few guys on the offense getting paid like that. All their money, for the most part, is on that defense. You can look up and down the roster. Look at their defensive front. Look at their linebackers. Look at their corners and their safety. All of them are paid a premium because they have played on a Pro Bowl level. And then you bring in Kirk Cousins. The last two games is more of a true snapshot of what this team should look like. They've supported a quarterback by running the ball 56% of the time since they had to fire someone. So their overall philosophy, I believe at this point, is the only time that matched up with the head coach and the organization as far as what they're going to do. They got an outstanding defense. They have to play to that defense. You have to try to control the clock. And then you can run some play action, two-man routes with the great receiver tandem that you do have. So for me, the conversation shouldn't be centered around Kirk Cousins because the team was not put together that way.
Well, and the defense this year, despite the poor start, they're third in the league in yards. They're the #1 third down defense, the #1 red zone defense, the #1 sacking defense. If you care about the points, which is what Coach Mangini says, that's the most important stat. They're 7th, which is down from 2nd last year. But the defense hasn't been as dominant as was last season, but I don't think they've been losing games this year because the defense has been killing them. They were losing games this year because they had such a skewed run-pass ratio. They fired their offensive coordinator because of it, and in my eyes, Kirk Cousins was playing a little below the level I expected him to play. I didn't think they got an all-pro quarterback. I didn't think they even got one of the 5 or 6 best quarterbacks in football. I don't think the Vikings thought that. The money they paid him was because he was a quarterback that hit free agency, true free agency, and that never happened. So he's going to get paid. But he's got to play well in this game. Like, that is true. A guy who's 4-25 in his career against teams that finished with a winning record that we saw the last 2 weeks, the team and Kirk have played well. Kirk's played very well when supported by a running game. But against bad football teams, this is a win and you're in game. For a team that last year won 13 games, fair or not, if he doesn't play well and they lose, the scrutiny is going to be on him. And that is not unique to the Vikings. That is across the league, that if a team underachieves and the passing game is supposed to be a major part of their offense, and while most of their talent's on defense, they did give Stephon Diggs a big contract, and Thielen is playing at a very high level. They just have him on a bargain contract. They do have talent on offense. They have a bad offensive line. I think Dalvin Cook's a good player. I know Diggs and Thielen are good players. I know that the tight end, when healthy, has been a good player. So if they don't win this game, and their offense struggles, it's going to be fair to point some fingers at the quarterback.
Yeah, you need to point at the defense too, though. They are going against Chicago Bears.
Sure.
Okay, they are. So Yes, Kirk Cousins, would you like to see a better record against winning teams? Absolutely. Even with the Vikings, you'd like to be able to see that. But the rest of the team was participating in those games too. The defense was not good. If you look at the teams with the winning record, look at the defense's rating against those teams compared to against the other teams, because those numbers are significantly different. So in those teams that had winning records, they weren't a top 10 defense. So they have not been able to gel together. Yes, we're going to talk about the quarterback, but the number one thing was he was a free agent. Sam Bradford got,
got $20 million a year.
Oh,
right?
He got $20 million
to
Sam Bradford
play 2 games.
Okay, in Arizona. So we need to measure all the things that we say based on. There's a lot of people out there making money, but it doesn't matter if you give a quarterback $100 million. If you don't invest in that offensive line, if you don't run the football, it's going to be hard to be able to get your value out of whatever you pay that quarterback.
And listen, I think we do some weird pocket watching with NFL players a lot. Like he's paid because he gambled on himself. He took the free agent tag. He turned down multiple contracts, and he said, I'm not going to get hurt. I'm going to play well, and I'm going to hit the lottery. And by the way, in 2 years, might hit it again because they can't franchise him. He's going to hit true free agency again. That's not, to me, a big part of the math. If he would have, I'd feel the same way about him if he was making $24 million instead of $28 million or $27 million. What is part of the math is, I think this team has underperformed. I think Kirk Cousins had an opportunity on the road against New England, on the road against Seattle to play a good game. Didn't. Now he has another opportunity at home against the Bears to get his team into the playoffs. He does that, he erases a lot of the questions that have been attached to him this year. If he doesn't, even against a very good Bears defense, those questions are going to be as loud as ever.
I don't believe that. I think that Kirk Cousins, even if the Vikings are able to win this game, because who Kirk Cousins is. It's always, when he was drafted behind RG3, there was always question marks. Why did they draft him? Then they put him into the lineup. He won the starting job. Well, man, should he be the starter? Then he threw for 4,000 yards. Oh, he should be better at that. Then they franchised him. Why are they franchising him? Why are they paying him that amount of money? Then he played well again, threw for 4,000 yards again. Then the Vikings, he was totally a free agent. He's the only quarterback of that kind that has reached total free agency. The Vikings gave him a great contract, but we don't talk about the other guys making money either. So for me, the Vikings have not had the glue as far as the units, offense, defense, and special teams, and the philosophy of the head coach all together at one time.
All right, let's take a break. Leave it there. Coming up, does the Pats' Super Bowl run rely solely on home field advantage? Talk Patriots next on First Things First.